I am a big ass movie lover, and just like any normal movie lover, I don't want movies to suck. In a perfect world, I would go into every single movie expecting nothing but gold and receiving gold. That being said, we of course don't live in a perfect world, and unfortunately, not only do we get a bunch of good movies every year, we probably get more shit movies than we'd like. And whether it's a sick ass trailer, an over budget marketing process that we always get lured in, we always expect too much, and then inevitably we get disappointed. Now, suck is a broad term. It can mean anything, whether it's a box office flop or just ultimately a movie that you decide you're never going to watch more than once. For me, it's usually that bitter feeling I get after I've watched it, thinking, really wish I didn't waste my time with that one. But of course, hindsight's 2020, and it's up to us to make the responsible decision if that was worth it or not. We're going to go through the list of remaining movies in the 2025 year that personally, I think are going to suck ass. Feel free to comment down below and explain to me why you were excited for a movie that maybe I am not so excited for. I'm a reasonable guy. I can be swayed. All right, let's go ahead and kick this list off with a movie that I feel like I have seen just a million times already in the last 5 years, and that is Cleaner. Now, Daisy Ridley plays this what looks to be an average window washer. No one really pays her any mind. She just goes to work, she clocks in, she does her job, until one day Clive Owen and his band of misfits come in and they hijack the building somehow. And from there, she's got a John McClane this thing, kicking the shit out of men 3 times her size, finding weapons with the most unusual items, and just ultimately saving the day here. Now, honestly, the only thing this movie is missing is the word "the" in front of it, and you have yourself a Jason Statham movie. The Cleaner is right up his alley. Go and look at his IMDb and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like this story has been overdone way too much in the past decade. You have this ex-military type badass who just wants to work a simple life, and something goes wrong, so they have to use their skills from the past to ultimately kick ass. I think that it's going to have enough in it to make it at least a one-watch type movie, but I think that's all you're going to get out of me for this. Next on my list, to absolutely nobody's surprise, is going to be the live-action Snow White movie. To be honest, I don't really know where to start with this one. You got your reshoots, you got your poor CGI, you got your main character who is trashing the storyline in the movie before it's even come out. Weird. Costume looks horrendous. How many of these live action Disney movies are we going to keep making? Are we not satisfied until we've made the live action version of every single Disney movie that has ever been created? And it's tough to say that when you have movies like the live action Lion King that did gross over $1 billion, so there is some financial gain to be had here. But a lot of these movies are just rebranding and repackaging the same storyline, the same material over and over again until we basically just have the same movie but with just real people. And to me, with these Disney movies, a lot of the magic lies within the animation itself. That's where your imagination kind of run wild a little bit. You can create your own sort of storyline or your own sort of world within this story that's being told. And that's what I think we're starting to lose with some of these live action movies, is that now it's too real almost, and it gets to a point where it's just not fun anymore. Next on my list is going to be a movie that I think could have some potential, but ultimately I think it's going to miss the mark for a couple of big reasons, and that is the Minecraft movie. Now, the movie itself is going to be directed by Jared Hess, who's done things like Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre. I said Nacho Libre like that was some sort of a big hit, but he's worked with Jack Black before. And while we do got some big hitters like Jack Black and Jason Momoa, it's so hard to make a video game into a movie adaptation that people generally enjoy, especially a game like Minecraft where there is not really a storyline. It's just kind of a free-for-all fuckabout. It's going to have to be up to the viewers, and to be honest, it's probably going to be more up to the people who play the game more than anything to decide whether this movie is watchable or not. I think there's going to be a specific niche and a specific market for this movie. I think it could be very popular, but I also could see it bombing. This does give me very big Dungeons and Dragons vibe. And even though I didn't play that board game, I still thought that was a very good movie, and I thought it was very enjoyable, and I've watched it multiple times. So it's got that possibility. The live action Lilo and Stitch is going to fall on my list next because I don't know that anybody asked for this. The 2002 Lilo and Stitch came out, and it was great. Everyone enjoyed it. It was an interesting story. It was something that we have never seen before. And because it was a good movie, now we've decided 23 years later, let's make a live action version for this. Now, as far as Disney movie goes, I loved it, but I don't think it was in anybody's top 10 when it comes to Disney movies. This one just seems very, very forced. worst. Now, we've only seen a couple teaser trailers, and there was even a Super Bowl commercial that showcased this movie, but honestly, the CGI of the character Stitch himself doesn't look great. And with multiple alien figures being broadcast in this movie, I don't know how much better it's going to get. Does anyone have the courage to tell a different story with these characters? It's just the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we're just kind of left like, I could see this one having a big budget and having a big old flop next to it at the end of this year. This next one I was not sure about, but I ultimately just could not bring myself to leave it off the list, and that is going to be the new Karate Kid Legends movie. Karate Kid is one of those movies that did well in the 80s, and that's ultimately, I think, where it should have died. I think it was the perfect kind of 80s movie, just a coming-of-age karate story. Nobody questions the fact that this is the one high school in America where karate is just the superior sport. Just everyone just kind of goes with it. There's a kid that was down on his luck who got bullied, who essentially learned the martial arts to essentially rise up and kick the shit out of his bullies, whether it was an illegal move or not, still whooped that ass, and won the tournament on a busted leg. You then saw the next edition of this movie when Jackie Chan took over as Mr. Han. He was kind of your main Mr. Miyagi type character, and he was training Jaden Smith. It's not that you really got a new storyline. There's still a kid who has to learn karate to fight in a tournament to overcome his bullies, but ultimately it couldn't really compare to the original movies. And then come 2018, we get the series Cobra Kai on Netflix, and that kind of flips the script on this entire franchise. Now you're looking at the side of everything from the bad guy, Johnny Lawrence, aka William Zabke, and you kind of have a new respect for what he did, how his life turned out. It's just kind of a fun, fresh look at how everything turns out. Coming to this movie, though, now you have kind of a collaboration of both those situations where you have Daniel's son and you have Mr. Han from the new Jaden Smith type Karate Kid movie, and they're going to collab in a way that I quite haven't figured out yet. To be honest, I think it's going to be the exact same story again. It's going to be a kid who doesn't know karate, learns karate, fights kids in a tournament, overcomes his demons. I don't think it's going to be anything new, and ultimately I think it's just going to be repackaging and rebranding the same shit again. And just because we took Jaden Smith out of the movie and put in this new kid, I don't think it's going to be a better movie. I ultimately just think it's going to be the exact same thing, just kind of a new cast. Freakier Friday. Had to read that a couple times to make sure I wasn't losing my fucking mind. Apparently, enough people were clamoring for the sequel for us to get that one on the list here in 2025. Now, you got Jamie Lee Curtis and you got Lindsay Lohan that are both playing their same characters once again. And honestly, you can imagine how the story is going to go. Some voodoo shit's going to happen. They're going to swap bodies. And ultimately, they're going to have a slapstick comedy going through each other's lives once again. Let's say they switch bodies again. All right? Jamie Lee Curtis is now in her 60s. Lindsay Lohan is now a full-grown adult in her 30s. Can we not be adults in this movie? Let's say they just switch. It's just those two switching once again. I feel like they would be able to manage each other's lifestyles pretty cohesively. You go to work, you drive your car, you just do normal shit. It was fun when Lindsay Lohan was a 15-year-old and Jamie Lee Curtis was a mom in her 40s. But now that they're just full-grown adults and they both should be mature at this point, like Lindsay Lohan's going to be going through menopause, or like, is Jamie Lee Curtis going to take Lindsay Lohan's body out on the town for a spin and just get some sausage? I was trying to think of a polite way to say that. Either way, this is one of those movies where 20 years later we're getting the remake, and 9 times out of 10, you eat shit. Next on my list of movies that I think are going to suck, it's going to have to be The Conjuring movie. Now, while the other Conjuring movies have been well received by audiences, they are starting to lose their luster a little bit. Now we're on the 5th installment, I believe, of this Conjuring series. On top of, you have the Annabelle series, which kind of ties into the whole storyline, and you just wonder how much meat is left on this bone. I can't imagine you can go too much further with all this haunted shit. And then you also got to think, don't ghosts have better things to do with their times than fuck with these two? Maybe not, because they're dead and there's not a whole lot they got going on for themselves. But I digress. Now, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are coming back to play their same characters once again in this movie. So I respect the fact that they're sticking to the character arc, but ultimately, do they need to keep coming back to do these movies? They're both in big box office hits outside of this storyline. They better be getting a pretty big chunk of cheese to keep coming back and doing these movies. Just reminds me of the Fast and Furious series, but with ghosts instead of ridiculously fast submarines and tanks and cars and bullshit. Cannot believe I'm saying this, but Saw 11 is coming out in 2025. 11. Why are we making 11 movies of this? Why is it necessary? Why do the people need to keep dying in such creative ways? If you've made it this far, comment down below in which Saw movie you thought was the most horrific and or creative way to die. For me, it's the one where the girl reaches her hands up through the razor blades to grab the drugs because she just can't not grab the drugs. But this just does nothing for me anymore. We've completely escaped the original storyline. Jigsaw became who he was and how the power has transferred down the chain of command, and now we have a new Jigsaw and yada, yada, yada. It's the same shit. All these people are so smart and they create all these elaborate ways to kill people, and it's just gotten so overdone. But ultimately, there's really not much more for you than just mindless killing. Let me know what you guys think of my list. To be completely honest, I hope I'm wrong on quite a few of these. I hope that most of these movies are good, and in a year from now, you guys are all pointing, laughing, and telling me to eat shit. Until that happens, though, comment down below which movies you also think are going to be bad, or go ahead and disagree with me on the movies that I've said are going to be bad. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the take. See you next time.